Simon Blakeley is an English-born resident of North Bay, Ontario. He has traveled to over 30 countries. His passion is strategic planning, community engagement, and urban design. Ladies and gentlemen, Simon Blakeley.
Okay, good evening everybody. So tonight I want to ignite a conversation around the concept of placemaking based upon 15 years professional experience as a strategic planner and urban designer, and in reference to examples of cities I've either visited or studied. The old saying is true that Rome wasn't built in a day. In the European context, the configuration and design of buildings, squares, parks, bridges and communities have been influenced by these ancient forms of development. In the next few slides, I will outline 10 urban design principles that I believe could guide the development of North Bay going forward. The first design principle is mixed use. We need to ensure that neighborhoods are mixed use, walkable and pedestrian friendly. The second design principle is form and character. We need to ask, what are the main design styles within the street or community? What are the building heights and proportions being proposed? How can colours, setbacks, and architectural detailing add interest to the street scene? The next design principle is adapt and reuse. Sometimes it is not necessary to tear down buildings and rebuild. Where heritage or community buildings are concerned, this can result in the loss of character and identity within a community. The next principle is safe and secure. The examples shown here demonstrate how pedestrians, cyclists and vehicles can be separated and driver behaviour is controlled. Accessibility. We need to reprioritise the use of space and introduce a multimodal approach to transport planning. Here is the High Line, which is a former elevated railway in New York, which demonstrates how new and inspiring ecosystems can result. The next principle is heritage. Heritage buildings can only be preserved in the long run through conservation. We should be more conscious when making decisions that impact upon the character and identity of historic buildings. Arts and culture. This can be used to articulate traditions, historic events, or perhaps point out current trends and the future hopes or fears of a community. Active spaces. There is undeniably a strong correlation between the amount and use of green open spaces, including parks, play areas, sport and recreational facilities, and a community's overall sense of well-being. Here is the Olympic Park in East London, which demonstrates how a former industrial wasteland can undergo extensive regeneration, including new opportunities for nature conservation and social interaction. Sustainability. Sustainable development is broadly defined as development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. The image to the left shows a prototype of a passive house, which is of German-Swedish origin, and these incorporate low to zero carbon emissions. So there are a number of urban design strategies that can be applied in different communities to influence how a community might develop going forward. What the next slides show are a number of strategies that have been employed by different cities. The first one is landmarks. Here you can see an example from Birmingham, England, which is seeking to apply innovative forms of architecture as a draw to the city. The next solution is heritage. Here you can see the original sections of the Berlin Wall integrated within part of a living museum, and Welsh language has been inscribed on the building of the Welsh Assembly Government. So the next one is parks and squares. At the top you can see Tivoli Gardens. This was constructed in 1843 in Copenhagen, Denmark, and still exists as the heart of the city to today. The next is public art. Here is the Angel of the North in Newcastle, England. This illustrates, in a dramatic sense, how an area's proud industrial and forging heritage can be articulated in the community. Another solution is waterfront development. The Rideau Canal in Ottawa functions as a multi-purpose recreational corridor, which runs through the heart of the city and displays the city's unique heritage. The city of Geneva, Switzerland, has built a huge fountain in the lake, which can be seen from many vantage points. The sixth strategy is active transportation. Here you can see examples of cycling infrastructure that have been implemented in Holland, and how these are integrated throughout the city. So we've come a long way, and the question tonight would be, how might we create a distinct sense of place and identity for North Bay? Thank you all for your time. Yes. And just a quick shout to my parents who are actually visiting from the UK right now, so thank you for your time.